Hello everyone. Welcome to CRM Stage conference. Welcome to my talk related to second generation managed packages. So let's discuss our agenda for today. The first, I will introduce myself. Then we will discuss some glossary terms related to this topic. Next, we will analyze the quiz that I have conducted twice before I was performing this knowledge sharing talk. And the next, we will discuss this knowledge sharing about second generation managed package development. And the last but not the least is I will share a link to workshop practice that you could do in your spare time. So let me introduce myself. My name is Bohdan Dovhan. I'm Salesforce practice lead at SoftServe. I have 9 certifications, I have 11 years of total development experience, and I have 8 years of Salesforce development experience. So let's discuss some glossary terms which I used both in my quiz and in my actual knowledge sharing talk. Sfdx. What is Sfdx? Sfdx, or Salesforce Developer Experience, is a command line interface which provides tools to manage data and metadata on Salesforce environments. What is DH, or Devhub? Devhub is an organization feature which provides access to create and manage Scratch orgs and create and manage second generation packages. What is package? This is bundled container of code and metadata which can be published on AppExchange or shared directly to subscribers. What is 2GMP abbreviation? 2GMP stands for Second Generation Managed Package, which are created, developed and managed by Sfdx CLI. What is 1GMP? 1GMP abbreviation stands for First Generation Managed Package, which are also known as classic packages, which are created and managed from packaging or patch orgs. What is ISV? ISV stands for Independent Software Vendor. This is the company who releases and maintains, supports, and provides upgrades to managed package. If you see in my presentations shortcut NS, it's for namespace. Namespace is a prefix used by managed packages to isolate the metadata scope. What is AppExchange? AppExchange, this is Salesforce marketplace where packages can be found for installation or can be published by ISV, by independent software vendors. What is security review? Security review is Salesforce acknowledgement of managed package required for publishing to AppExchange. What is SOT? SOT is a shortcut for source of truth. This is authoritative source of truth. What is VCS? VCS is shortcut for version control system such as Git or SVN or Mercurial or any other. What is NO? NO is a shortcut for namespace org. This is the org where namespace is registered. What is PKO? PKO is shortcut for packaging org, the org where the package is created, built, and registered. What is PTO? PTO is patch org, the org where the patch version of package is developed and built. What is SBO? SBO, this is shortcut for subscriber org. This is the org where your subscriber clients install and use your package. What is SCO? SCO is Scratch org. This is source-driven temporary disposable organization used mainly in continuous integration and continuous delivery. What is push upgrades? Push upgrades is a feature which allows to push upgrades to the subscribers without their consent. What is package version? Package version is package snapshot, which is defined by major, minor, patch, and build version. So now let's switch to the next slide and discuss the quiz results. So I have conducted a quiz which is referring the questions from my knowledge sharing talk, but I have conducted it before I shared a knowledge about this topic to analyze the data about how many developers know about this second generation managed package feature. So the first time I conducted this quiz at internal company knowledge sharing meeting, and the second time I conducted it at Lviv community meetup meeting. So the best score at company quiz was 57%, and the best score at community quiz was 64%, and the average score at community quiz was 38%, and the average score at community quiz was 30%. And these scores indicate insufficient knowledge of this topic, and they indicate that this topic is important and is not widely known by developers. So let's switch to actual knowledge sharing session. On this slide, we will discuss how second generation managed packages are different from classic packages or the first generation packages. So they differ by 9 bullets. So the first is, what is the source of truth? So this is very easy to answer for the first generation package. For this first generation package, the source of truth is packaging org. This is the org where you define your namespace for the package, you create this package, and you upload subsequent major or minor versions. While for second generation managed packages, the source of truth is version control system. Next, who is the owner of package and metadata? Again, the simple question to the simple answer to this question for the classic packages are like just packaging org. While for second generation package, it's not so simple because we have different entities being owners of package and different entities are like owners of metadata. So owner of package is Devhub, or the organization where Devhub feature is enabled, while the owner of metadata is version control system. So it's like quite a different concept because you do not actually perform manual action to upload a new version of package. You do not do some manual action on the user interface to create the package, but you do it inside of the CLI. So it's quite different notion. You can also automate it and make some button to execute the CI script for you, or CLI script, yes, but it would be still different. Because under the hood, it will call the Sfdx CLI to create package, to upload a new version, to upload patch version, and to do all the other things that you used to user interface options for it. Next, how many packages may belong to one org? And this is simple for classic packages. For classic packages, only one package may belong to one org. While for second generation packages, many packages may be created from one Devhub organization. So this is important. This means you don't need a clutter with many packaging orgs anymore, because you can combine, or for example, you have like 10 packages, 10 classic packages, and you had to use 10 different packaging orgs just to have 10 packages. But now you can have just one Devhub, and you can create a second generation versions of these packages from one single org. It's not actually from the org, but from the CLI, but you use your credentials to Devhub to start creation of the package. The next thing is, where is the namespace registered? So for the first generation package, this is very simple. You have your packaging org and you define and register your namespace there. While for second generation package is quite opposite. So there is specific notion of namespace org, which is applicable only for second generation package. This is the org where your namespace is actually registered, and this org should be linked to your Mydevhub organization. I can show you a slide where you can see how this can be achieved. So you open the tab namespace registries, you click a button link namespace, and a separate pop-up window opens when you can enter your username and password and log in, and then if there is any namespace on this org, this namespace will be linked to your Mydevhub organization. The next item is, so how many packages can belong to one namespace? For the first generation package, only one classic package may exist per one namespace. While for the second generation package, it's different because you can have many packages which share the same namespace. And it's a huge breakthrough because earlier, if you have some baseline package and package extension, you had to register a separate namespace for your extension and assume that you have a lot of extensions, that you had to register tons of namespace. But now you can have just one single namespace for all of extensions of your baseline package, and this is very convenient. So the next question is, which are the options to share the code? So for the first generation packages, there was only one option. This is global apex. You can only use global apex to share the code, but in such case, this code, this class or method will be shared with subscribers. And there is no way to share with your extension packages, but not with subscriber. While for the second generation packages, you may still use global apex, but there is one more additional option which allows you to share apex classes and apex methods just between packages that share the same namespace. So this is incredible. This is very, very good feature. Now you could, for example, create some class, and you can annotate it with namespace accessible annotation, like in this example that you can see on the screen, and annotate some method or constructor or some property with this annotation, and you actually can use the same class in your extension package or vice versa. So it's unbelievable. Now you have many more options to share some components, some methods just between your packages. The next one is how package create or uninstall be automated. How can this be automated? So Sfdx commands can be used to create or uninstall, but they work only for second generation managed packages, but not for the first generation. While the install command is available for both. Next one is branching supported in package versioning? So for the first generation package versions, it's simple. The package versioning is linear. So you develop your package version 1.0, then you have the version 1.1, then 1.2, 1.3, etc. While in second generation package versions, you may still follow this linear approach, but you can actually break the inheritance. So for the classic packages, if you have the version 1.2, it's always available to upgrade to this version from packages with version 1.1 or 1.0. While for second generation packages, you may create version 1.2, which is not backward compatible with versions 1.0 or 1.1. it would be like separate branch from the root, and it provides some like more options. In fact, on most of the project, I would assume we would still use the linear branching or versioning, but in some cases, if you want to like delete some components, but you cannot delete components in second generation managed packages, so you might want to just to break the package's inheritance if you do not expose or distribute your package to your subscribers yet, and create a brand new package without any inherited ancestor version, which you can have like any components that you want, and it doesn't have to be inside of the ancestor version of your package. Next item is how patch versions can be created. So for classic packaging, it's simple. You have specific patch orgs, and for each major and minor versions, you need to create a separate dedicated patch orgs, which may be quite clumsy if you have a lot of packages, a lot of patch like minor versions, major versions, and you have like tons of organizations that are created just to release a patch version. So in second generation package development, you don't need those patch orgs anymore. You can just use version control system, you can switch between branches, and you can easily create a patch version or minor version or major version without any need to create some specific dedicated org just to release patch versions or release some kind of version. So it's very convenient because you don't need to clutter with your orgs anymore. Next, what is common between second generation managed packages and first generation managed packages? So we have a lot of commons between those. So the both package versions, they allow independent software vendors to iterate and create package and patch versions. They allow to install and uninstall packages in subscriber orgs. They allow to submit a package for AppExchange security review. They allow to list your package on AppExchange. You can use license management app, you can use subscriber support console, you can use feature management app with both of first generation managed packages and second generation managed packages. Now, can first generation managed packages and second generation managed packages share a namespace? And this is very interesting and tricky question, which I asked on Dreamforce last year, and I got the wrong answer. So the correct answer to this question is yes. It is possible to create second generation managed package to reuse the namespace from the first generation managed package. Then you might assume, so what's the catch? So how the system would differentiate, like is this first generation, second generation, and would not be any errors or any issues or any consequences of that? And the answer is yes, there are some consequences. We will discuss this in the next slide. So next slide is asking, can I have the first generation managed package and second generation managed packages sharing the same namespace be installed in the same org? And now the answer to this question is no. So this is not possible to install on the same org the first generation managed package and the second generation managed package, which share the same namespace. If you try to do this, you will get the following error, like package namespace conflict. The package you are trying to install has the same namespace as another package that is already installed in the target org. The next question. Can I use Sfdx force package install CLI command to install the first generation managed package into subscriber org? And the answer is yes, sure. If you read the documentation for this command, it just says that installs a package in the target org without specifying is it first generation managed package or second generation managed packages. So you can verify, you can try to install some package version which is like first generation managed package, and you will see that successfully installed package with ID of your classic package version. So the next question is, can I use Sfdx force package uninstall to uninstall first generation package from an org? And the answer is no. As we discussed previously, force package uninstall cannot be used for the first generation managed packages. And if we read the documentation, we will see that this command uninstalls a second generation package from the target org. To install a first generation package, use the Salesforce user interface. And now you can see that it mentions it installs a second generation package, which means it can be used for both unlocked packages and both second generation managed packages. So in this talk, we are focusing primarily on the second generation managed packages, but also this command can be used for unlocked packages as well. So, and if you try to use this command with package ID, like package version ID from the first generation managed package, you will see the following error. You are trying to uninstall a first generation managed package, and you have the package ID. You can uninstall this package type only in the Salesforce user interface. On the next slide, we discuss some questions that we have on the forums and which have the wrong answer. So actually, can I push upgrades with second generation managed package? If I as developer or as independent software vendor was not able to push upgrades with second generation managed package, it would be a huge flaw, and I would not just choose to use such packages. But the answer is actually yes. It's possible, but you cannot do this from the user interface, like you could do this for the first generation managed packages. So you can schedule a push upgrade using SOAP API. For this, you need to query metadata package versions, and package subscriber to retrieve details that you need. Then you need to create a package push request object record with package version ID. And then you can either set scheduled start time or omit setting this field to start push by setting the status of this record to pending. Next, you need to create a package push job record for each subscriber and associate it with the package push request you created in the previous step. And finally, you schedule the push upgrades by just changing the status of the package push request to pending. Sounds simple, yeah? I think I will probably make some package or some UI for this, because it's actually a lot of work which you just need to do for the second generation managed packages. Next one is, how can I publish a second generation managed package on AppExchange? So this is an interesting question, because to publish classic package, you just need to just connect your packaging org to publishing console in the partner community. And what's about the second generation? So looks like it's very similar and it's very simple. So you need just to connect Mydevhub organization on publishing organization tab. So like we discussed, for first generation you connect just packaging org, and for second generation you connect the Mydevhub org. And that's all the difference. It's pretty simple. And for those who has never done this, I can share some slide just depicting how this is done. So you log into your partner community, you go to publishing tab, then you go to organization sub tab, and then you have this green button connect org. You click on that button, and then you need to specify your username and password with security token appended. And that's all. That's pretty easy, right? So the next question is, which packages support deletion of components? And the answer to this question is only the first generation package versions. So the second generation managed packages do not support deletion of components. There was a limited trial pilot to enable this feature, but I think it's now closed. I guess in the future there will be some beta feature, or this will be available in some next releases. But for now, components cannot be deleted from the second generation managed packages. And even if you have applied to this pilot, still you have the same implications that you had for the first generation managed packages. So if you ever delete your component, class, or something, you will not be able to restore it back in your future versions of your package. So you need to be cautious about this and use your common sense. Next is which package versions can be deprecated. So the answer for this is also only the first generation managed packages, only classic packaging. So second generation managed packages versions cannot be deprecated. Now, which functionality is supported in first generation managed packages but not in the second generation managed packages? When I initially conducted this knowledge sharing, there was a quite bigger list with more items. Now it has been reduced only to 4 items. So some of them we have already discussed, like components cannot be deleted from packages, package versions cannot be deprecated, also Apex version provider is not supported, and a default language for labels in packages cannot be specified. Next, do metadata components exist which are supported by the first generation managed packages but not second generation managed packages? And the answer is yes. If you follow the link which I provided in the last slide, and if you open this list of metadata types supported in different package versions, please note that in this page the second generation managed packages are just called managed packaging, and the first generation packages are called classic packaging. So you can see there are some metadata types which are available in classic packaging but which are not available in the managed packaging. For example, sharing set. Next, do metadata components or metadata types exist which are supported by the second generation managed packages but not the first generation managed packages? And the answer is yes. If you open the same page, you can see that there are some metadata types which are supported by the second generation managed packages and some which are not supported by the classic packages. And also you can see that some metadata types are supported by both and some metadata types are not supported by either of them. The next one, can I enable Devhub in namespace org? And the answer is no. You can define a namespace in developer edition org that is not your Devhub, and you can enable Devhub in a developer edition org that doesn't contain a namespace. This means that those two features, Devhub and having a namespace, are mutually exclusive. So they cannot be enabled both. So the next question is continuation of the previous slide. Can I set a namespace and create the first generation managed package in Devhub org? And the answer is no. You can define a namespace in developer edition org that is not your Devhub, and you can enable Devhub in a developer edition org that doesn't contain a namespace. And if you try to do that, you will see this yellow wording saying that this org is a developer hub. You can only create managed packages in developer edition org that is not your Devhub. And since you cannot disable the Devhub option, you cannot turn your Devhub org into some namespace org. So I hope this is easy to understand. The next one, do I have to link namespace org to my Devhub? And the answer is yes, you should. Otherwise, you will just get an error. So for example, if you execute some command like Sfdx force package create with name and package type managed with path. And we will see if we put in our Sfdx project JSON some namespace that we don't own, or maybe we own this namespace, but we did not link that namespace to our Mydevhub, which we used to create this package. In such case, we will see the following message. The specified namespace is not owned by the Mydevhub. So it's reasonable, assuming that there are many namespaces over there, probably some popular namespaces like Fforce for financial force component. And if everyone was allowed to create some packages within namespace, so the security of some package like this would be screwed up. And Salesforce doesn't want to allow this. And this means you need to prove that you actually own this namespace. So you, as I shown on the previous slide, which I can repeat and show again, you need to click on namespace registries, you need to click button link namespace, and you need to provide the credential to the org which has the namespace. Otherwise, you will not be able to use this namespace in your packages at all. You will not be able to create a package with this namespace. So I hope this is clear. Let's move further. So, interesting question. A Sfdx CLI command to create a new package version fails to be created because of exceeding limit package to version creates. But developer needs to create a new version urgently for a client. So what developer can do? And actually, such situation may indicate that developer uses some free developer edition organization which has some low limit of the available validated package versions to create, and also that some wrong way was chosen for the creation of beta versions. So, and the answer to this question is to fix your CI process and include a skip validation switch in the Sfdx CLI command. This switch allows you to skip validation during the package version creation, but you cannot promote unvalidated package versions. You need to remember this. And on the other side, unvalidated package versions have a separate limit which has much more higher value even for free developer orgs. So the value for package to version creates without validation 500. So it's enough even and sufficient even if you have plenty of packages that you have like plenty of versions doing on daily basis. And while the value for package to version creates is just 6 for free developer editions and is higher for paid versions, but still not very big. So it's always reasonable to use skip validation if you create beta versions. So in the next slide I can show you example of commands, how may look the command to create a beta version and a command to create a released version. So for beta versions you use the same command as for released versions. Sfdx force package version create. You have the same directory, the same folder, like by default is force app, or you may use different folder if you have some package extension, or if you don't use a standard force app folder. Then you have this -x switch, which means doesn't set any installation password. And then as I also use the wait parameter of 60, just not to close this command until it provides some output. And this parameter skip validation. Also I use JSON parameter just to parse the results by using JQ command and to retrieve some data out for it. And this is command for creation a beta version. And for released version, you need to use the switch to calculate code coverage. This is important because if you do not include the switch, you will not be able to promote. And next, you grab this package version ID. In my case, I just use GQ to grab this from the JSON response, and then I just call this command Sfdx force package version promote with no prompt switch and with passing the subscriber version install ID with the currently version that was just created. So I think that's easy and you understand, so it's clear. We can move further. Next, what is the possible cause of an error running force package install mismatching versions? So this error may happen when subscriber org is on the winter 21, while the package version is built with Sfdx project JSON specifying version 51, which is spring 21. So it's simple. Next, what is the possible cause of an error running force package version create no matching source was found within the package root directory? So the answer is quite simple. The specified source directory is empty. And this may be caused with some mess with directories. For example, if you copy your package source from one folder to another and you make some stupid mistake in the folder name, it will not be recognized by the Salesforce, and Salesforce will look into different folder which actually is empty. So it's very important just to check the actual folder which you use, if it doesn't contain any mistakes or typos, and if the path is correct, because this means that Salesforce cannot find the correct path and any source metadata in the path. Next question, what is the relationship between the Mydevhub and namespaces? Is it possible to link the same namespace in several Mydevhubs? Is it possible to link several namespaces in one Mydevhub? And the answer is yes and yes. So many namespaces can be linked to one Mydevhub, and the same namespace can be linked to several Mydevhubs. So relationship between Mydevhubs and namespace is many to many. It's not one to many or one to one, it's just many to many. Next, if Mydevhub trial org is deleted or expired, can I still create new versions of packages created in this Mydevhub? And the answer is no, because the documentation suggests that if Mydevhub is deleted or expires, its packages no longer work. And that's it. The next question is, can a second generation managed package dependency be defined to depend on first generation managed package or package owned by a different Mydevhub? So this is important because you define your ancestry using this ancestor ID property. And actually the answer is you can use this subscriber package version ID to define dependency on the first generation managed package or on the second generation package from another Mydevhub or on another second generation unlocked package. And you can find the package version ID in the installation link for the first generation managed packages. It just starts with 042 prefix. And this is a sample of Sfdx project JSON. So you can see it contains a sub-item like package directories with path, default to true, package name, version name and version number, and ancestor ID. If you just create your first version, you do not specify this ancestor ID. And if you want to break ancestry, you also do not specify this ancestor ID. Only if you want this package version to be able to upgrade from a previous package version, you need to specify this previous package versions. And when the following error, common Apex runtime implemented execution exception major version number is null or out of range, may happen. So the answer is simple: when a major version is set to 0 and post-install script reads the value of the installed version. And when the following errors ancestor for the package version has a patch version greater than 0 may happen. So this is simple: when a second generation package version is created with ancestor package version patch version set to positive number. The next, when the following error managed package patch modification exception, a change was made to the patch release that will change the visible behavior of the application component, cannot be created because it will be automatically included in the package, may happen. And the answer is when a second generation patch version is created with components which were not present in the ancestor package version. So you have the same restrictions that you have for classic packages patch versions. You cannot include new components. So the same applies for the second generation package version. You cannot include new components in patch versions of the second generation package versions. And the next item is when the following errors invalid package version number. If you want to create a new patch version, the patch version number must be 1 or higher. If you want to create a new package version that is not a patch, the patch number must be 0. Format package version number as major.minor.patch.build may happen. So the answer is when a second generation package version is created with the same version number as ancestor. So you need just to increment either a minor version or a patch version to create a new package version. And finally, we have come from this path to the last slide. And we have this workshop link if you want to practice this experience to create some second generation managed package and migrate example project from first generation managed package to second generation package. You can just grab this link, which I will also share in Slack, and you can practice on your own. So this is my slide for references. And if you have any questions, you can ask them in Slack and I will respond to you. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye.